So I said to you earlier that our theme today is launching out into the deep with purpose. And it's so appropriate, I think, that Esther House is leading the worship today. Because Esther's story is really a story about someone who found her purpose, accomplished her purpose, and made a mark on the world because of that. And so you don't forget that this is Esther House Sunday. We are going to just share a moment with you that Sister Lisa is going to lead. If I perish, but I will not be silent.
Good morning, everyone. The title of the meditation, as has been said, is If I perish, but I will not be silent. And it's a meditation that I wrote on the life of Esther. And as we discussed today, purpose, Esther's life was one that was filled with purpose. And having achieved her purpose, she made a mark on the world, as was said. So here begins. She never imagined herself a queen, but in the vast and glittering empire of ancient Persia, where kings ruled with unchecked power and royal decrees carried the weight of life and death, an unlikely figure stepped into history. Her name was Esther. She had not been born to royalty. In fact, she had been born into sorrow. Orphaned as a child and raised by her older cousin Mordecai, Esther was a Jewish exile in a foreign land. She lived quietly, unseen, unnoticed, faithful. Her days were not marked by magnificence, but rather simplicity. Then the summons came. A search had begun across the empire. The king was searching for a new queen, a woman of grace and beauty to stand beside him. From city to city and provinces far and wide, young women were brought to the palace. Esther was among them. She did not volunteer. She did not seek the crown. Though, through a series of events marked by not ambition, but by providence, she was chosen, she became queen. Yet beneath the fineries of royalty, she remained Esther, quiet in spirit, strong in faith, and deeply connected to her people. Though she lived in a palace, Esther never forgot the exile that shaped her, the God who sustained her, or the people who still suffered beyond the royal gates. Then the crisis came. A powerful official, driven by hatred and pride, devised a scheme. A royal decree was issued to rid Persia of the Jews. It was a death sentence, signed and sealed by the king. As panic spread, Mordecai begged Esther to intervene. But to do so was no small feat, as in the Persian court, even a queen could not approach the king without being summoned. To appear uninvited was to risk death. Esther hesitated. She counted the cost. She knew what was at stake, not only for her people, but for herself. And then Mordecai's words came that pierced through fear and lit the fire of purpose. Do you think that because you are in the king's house, you are the only Jew who will escape? If you remain silent now, will relief and deliverance arise from another place? Who knows? Perhaps you have come to your position for such a time as this. It was more than a plea. It was a calling, a charge to rise. This time, a summons to courage. Esther did not respond with pride. She did not rush to action. She paused, she fasted, and she prayed, seeking God and preparing for what obedience might demand. Then, with trembling resolve, she made her choice. I must go to the king, even though the law forbids it. And if I perish, but I will not be silent. And with that, Esther stepped into history. Her bravery would turn the tide, her words would move the king, and her obedience would save a nation. But the story doesn't end there. Esther's life is not merely a historical account from ancient scroll, nor a distant biblical legend. It is a living memory, a mirror held up to our own time, our own choices, and our own courage. Today, we may not wear crowns or stand in gilded courts, but we are still called. In a world overwhelmed by injustice, division, silence, and fear, Esther's voice still rises, not to echo through palace halls, but to convict the heart of modern-day believers. Her story reminds us that courage is rarely convenient. It often looks like risk cloaked in obedience. It requires us to act when being passive is easier, to speak when silence is safer, and to believe that where we are right now is not by accident. Like Esther, we are called to defend what is right, challenge prejudicial systems, and to lead with integrity in a world where compromise is the norm. While our call may not be to save a nation, or perhaps in some ways it is, we must choose. We must rise, we must risk, we must respond, letting Esther's words become our very own. If I perish, but I will not be silent. Thank you.